Hi, I'm Chef Alan Tetreault with Global Sugar Art, and today is the first part of a series of videos that I'm going to do on candy making. Now, if you're really interested in making chocolates at home, I do have a comprehensive video out called Simply Chocolates by Alan Tetreault. I made this a couple years ago, and it covers everything I'm going to cover in the next couple YouTubes, except this is much more comprehensive. So if you like what you see today and you think you'll enjoy making some chocolates at home, I highly recommend that you get the video. It'll really teach you a lot more about candy making. Today we're going to do some simple projects. We're going to make some simple chocolates that are molded. We're going to make an Oreo cookie chocolate. We're going to make some lollipops, and I'm going to show you how to use chocolate transfer sheets. They're a cocoa butter sheet so that you can actually put a design on like a cookie or a chocolate or a lollipop. Before we get going, I want to explain to you the difference between Merkin's candy coating, which is what I'm going to be using today. There are other products out like the Wilton Candy Melts or the Guittard Appeals. Those are not considered chocolate because in order to be considered chocolate, they have to contain cocoa butter. So these wafers are a candy coating. They're made with chocolate, but the cocoa butter is removed and replaced with a different sort of fat in the chocolate. This allows you to just melt the chocolate and make beautiful candies with it without having to temper the chocolate. Now, if you've ever used real chocolate and you didn't temper it, it stays kind of rubbery and it's very, very dull. So real chocolate must be tempered. The Merkin's candy coating does not need to be tempered. We can just melt it and use it. So that's what I'm going to be using in all my demonstration today and in the future YouTubes on candy making with a chocolate product. So let's get started. Okay, to begin with, I've taken my chocolate and I've melted it. Now there are three ways that you can melt the candy coating. I keep referring to the Merkin's as chocolate, so it really is candy coating. But for the benefit of making it easier, I'll refer to it as chocolate. This is the new Wilton candy warming pot, which works very well. And these are last year's styles, so it's the same manufacturer, just a different pot. So you can actually put the melts, the candy wafers directly in the candy pot, and it has two settings, a melt and then sort of a stable. So you start with the melting, and then when it's all melted, you put it on the middle section, and that's what you use as long as you're making candies. The new pots I really like because they're silicone, and when you're done making the chocolates, if you have any chocolate left in the container, it will harden and you can just squeeze it and it will just break all out of the pot, and you can remelt it. The old pots were hard like that and you had to scrape everything out. So that's the easiest way, is to use one of the Wilton candy melting pots and melt the wafers. The second method is with a double boiler. I would fill a glass or a stainless steel bowl, maybe a third or half full with the candy wafers, and I'd bring a pot of water just to a simmer. You don't want it boiling. Put this over the top, making sure the water does not touch the pot, and then just keep stirring it and they'll melt gradually. The third method, which works very well, is to use a microwave safe bowl. Put a third to a half full of your candy wafers and put it in the microwave, but don't put it in the center of the microwave. The center of the microwave is the hottest spot in the microwave, so you always want to put it toward the edge of your rotating table. Put it at 50% power, never more than 50% power, and do it for 30 seconds to a minute at a time until it's all melted and smooth. When the chocolate is melted, you'll see the consistency. And there's no lumps from the wafers or anything. It's just a really, really nice consistency. So that's the chocolate. That's the easy part. The molds come in hundreds and hundreds of varieties of molds for every season, every holiday, baby showers, wedding showers, Christmas, birthdays, you name it, there's a candy mold for it. Wash these with hot water and then buff them with a soft rag or soft cloth. Make sure that you never use soap on these. They eventually start to deteriorate after a while, and you lose the shine on the chocolate if you use soap. So just hot water and then buff them until they're dry. Now make sure that when you're done making your chocolates and you've washed them, that you don't put them in the sink and just let them drip dry, because little calcium deposits will form all inside the mold from your water, and they never come off the plastic, and you'll see those little spots on all the chocolates that you make in the future. So to take care of your molds, just wash them in hot water and make sure that you dry them with a soft cloth as soon as you're done washing them. So that takes care of the molds. So let's make some chocolates. I'm going to choose, these are the bite size, and we're getting near the holiday season, so I'm going to do some Christmas ones. Now, I like using a nice teaspoon because it has a long handle and not a really big bowl on the end of it. Makes it really easy for dipping and for spooning it into the mold. Try not to overfill your mold. It's better to start with too little and go back and add a little bit more. We'll just make a couple bite-sized pieces. And I'm going to make a couple. That was the dark chocolate. I'll make a couple milk chocolate. And I'm going to make some white chocolate. Now the Merkins candy wafers actually come in several different colors. This time of year, the red and the green, the dark green, are really popular. And in the spring of the year, we also sell like the orchid, the lavender, the yellow, the pink. There are many light green. There are a lot of different colors. So if you put too much in, just wipe it off. After you've deposited the chocolate in the molds, drop them on the table a couple times, and that will bring up any air bubbles, and it also spreads the chocolate around. And now they're ready to go into your freezer. Make sure that you have a flat place in the freezer where you can set these down, and they'll take about 3 to 5 minutes to firm up. You'll know when they're ready. When you take them out of the freezer and you touch the back of them with your finger, it'll feel cold and they'll pop right out of the mold. So I'm going to put these in the freezer and we'll pop them out before the video is done. Okay, the next easiest thing to make after just simply putting a little bit of chocolate in the mold and putting them in the freezer are lollipops or cookies using transfer sheets. Now, a transfer sheet is a piece of acetate that has a design on it that is put on there with cocoa butter, and this design is snowmen. This one is just writing. It says joy, happy holidays, peace. I have one here that has Christmas ornaments on it. Again, like the molds, these come in hundreds of designs for all different types of events, and they're very, very easy to use. So to use these, what I did was I made a template of the size of the bottom of this, the diameter of this lollipop. And I just cut out, with a pair of scissors, a little round piece to put in the bottom. Now, make sure when you put them in there that the cocoa butter side is up toward the chocolate. And you can tell because one side is very slippery and shiny. That would be the back side of it. So I've put these in. I did one of each. And it's just very easy to make a template and cut these out with a pair of scissors. And let's see. We're going to make sure your design is in line with your lollipop stick. I want to make sure the snowman is standing up and not leaning sideways. And I'm going to start by putting a little bit of chocolate in that mold. What happens is the warm chocolate melts the cocoa butter on that design, and then when you peel off the acetate, the design stays on the chocolate. We'll do a little milk chocolate one. And lastly, we'll do a white chocolate. Again, be careful you don't overfill these. And the same process, just drop them a couple inches from the table and the chocolate will spread out and any air bubbles will come to the surface. And then take your lollipop sticks, lay them inside and then just turn them so that the end of it is completely covered in chocolate. We need one more stick. We do sell all the lollipop sticks, and we have different sizes for different molds. There, and that's turned. That way the lollipop stick is completely enrobed in the chocolate. Now, just like the bite-sized pieces, these will go directly in the freezer, and they're going to take about 5 minutes. Before I put those in the freezer, I want to show you how to use the same concept but make a really nice Oreo cookie. And these are special molds designed just to use with Oreos. So I've got a couple of the transfers all cut out, and I'm going to put them right in there. So you start by putting a little bit of chocolate in the bottom. You'll want to have a toothpick handy when you do this. So I'm going to start by putting a little chocolate in the bottom, and then I'm going to grab a good old Oreo. You can eat one and use one. Eat one, use, that's the best way. And just drop that in the center. And then I'm going to cover the top of it with more of the chocolate. And just drop that, just gently. Now lift it up and look around. And if you see an air bubble, and there are air bubbles, it happens more often with the cookies. Just use a toothpick and go right down in there and push out that air bubble. You know, you don't normally have to do this, but I find with these big cookies you do, because the pockets of the cookie trap air. So I'm going to do one in white. Put an Oreo in there, just right in the center. Just push it lightly. And then just drop it a couple times, and then pick it up and look at the bottom. And this time there are no air bubbles. So this one now is ready to go into the freezer. Again, these will take at least 5 minutes, maybe more like 7 or 8, because they're a very thick cookie. You can use any kind of cookie you want in here. Okay, I'm going to put these in the freezer, and I'll be right back, and I'm going to give you a few more tips on candy making while these are freezing. I'll be right back. Okay, while the rest of the chocolates are still in the freezer, I wanted to show you another product called Paramount Crystals. Earlier I explained that real chocolate has cocoa butter in it, and the Merkin's candy coating, the cocoa butter is removed and is replaced with a shortening or a fat. That's the same fat that's in these Paramount Crystals. Once in a while, when you're working with chocolate, especially with the colored candy coating, and sometimes the white, it'll get very thick on you. That can happen if you overheat it, or if you've reheated it several times, it begins to dehydrate and it becomes kind of thick and lumpy. Go ahead and get yourself some Paramount Crystals, put a tablespoon or two in a little Pyrex dish, and melt that in the microwave. Don't incorporate it in the chocolate and stir it and heat it, because the Paramount Crystals melt at a much higher point than the chocolate does. You would ruin the chocolate if you tried to melt the two of them together. So I just melted a little bit of the Paramount Crystals. I'm going to start with maybe a half a teaspoon or a teaspoon and stir that right into the chocolate. And that rehydrates it and makes it much easier. And you can see the difference in the consistency already. Now that's the same consistency that I had in the dark and the milk chocolate when we began the video. So that's how you can save some candy coating or the Merkin's chocolate if you've reheated it several times and it's starting to get thick on you. As long as I've got this ready, I'm going to make a few more decorations that we're going to use later. And just like the other ones, these will go right into the freezer. So So that's how you use the Paramount crystals to sort of bring the chocolate coating back to life for you. The next thing I'm going to do is show you how to decorate some cookies and some cupcakes using the chocolates, and actually using chocolate on top of the cookies in a piping bag. But first I'm going to get all the candy that we made out of the freezer, and I'm going to take those out of the molds so you can see what they look like. We'll be right back. Our bite-sized pieces and our Oreo cookies are all ready to come out of the mold now. They've been in the freezer for these thin pieces, maybe about 3 to 5 minutes. For the Oreo or the thicker pieces, you want to leave them in there probably 5 to 10 minutes. All you do is flip them right over. You can see they pop right out. If they don't come out, you can flex the mold or you can tap the mold lightly. But most of the time, they're going to pop right out. Let's see, these are the lollipops. And we're going to finish these off as well. And these are the Oreos. And sometimes you have to just give those a little nudge because they're a very thick piece. There, that one finally came out. There. Okay. Now, remember that these had the transfers on them, and there's that little piece of plastic on there. And it's really important that you remove that or they're kind of chewy. So I like to use a toothpick or a little needle tool and just get right under the very edge, and that will lift right off. And then you can see that the design stays right on the chocolate. You just got to get the very edge of it and they'll come right off. And you can see how nice they come out. They really make a really fun chocolate. The cookies are peeled the exact same way. Just use the little needle or something just to get under the very edge. And you can peel those right off. Those are a great chocolate item for really any time of the year. And like I said, there are so many different chocolate transfer sheets that you can use for all different types of events, birthdays, weddings, anniversaries, baby showers, bridal showers, you name it. There is a transfer sheet that will be appropriate for that season. So now that we have these ready, we're just going to set all these chocolates aside. I'm sure I'll have a few staff members looking for bites to eat in a few minutes. Okay, a really fun thing to do with the chocolate is to actually flood cookies using a pastry bag and then put a decoration on top of them. This is a super, super easy way to make a Christmas cookie. Now, we carry the GSA line of royal icing decorations, and there are 4 different variety packs for Christmas. I have 3 of them out here, and I have some all removed from the packaging ready to go. These are edible royal icing decorations. You can use them on cupcakes or cookies or brownies or whatever you'd like. So I started by taking some of the chocolate, some of the melted chocolate, and putting it in a pastry bag. And I'm going to use my scissors, and I'm taking off a very, very tiny bit off the end. I want that to be a small hole. And then, let's see, we're going to use, this is a snowflake cookie that we made. It's a sugar cookie dough. And I'm just going to outline. This isn't going to be perfect because this is chocolate and it runs. And then after you've made the outline, just go ahead and fill it in. And the chocolate will all run together. There. And then once all the chocolate is together, you can choose whatever decoration you want for it and just put it right on the top. And then you have a decorated cookie ready to go. We'll do the same thing with white. This is a Christmas tree. You don't have to fill them in if you don't want to, but I think it makes a better tasting cookie to have that nice layer of chocolate on there. There you go. And that will just, you can see it sort of smooths out by itself. We've got a little air bubble. And let's see, actually we'll put a tree on a tree. We'll center that right in the middle and just tap that on. And as you can see over on the side here, I have other ones all made. You can use any of these royal icing decorations right on top of the chocolate, on top of the cookie. It's a super easy project. Really, even children could do it. This would be a great project to do with kids. If you don't want to use the pastry bag, you can melt the chocolate in a little flatter, wider dish, and you can just dip the cookie in and then just let it drip off, and then lay it on a cooling rack for the chocolate to drip down the side. And then add your decoration after. But I find the pastry bag is a really neat and clean way to make the cookie. When we come back, we're going to finish up by doing the cupcakes and talk a little bit more about candy making. I'll be right back. I want to show you how we did the cupcakes using the chocolates that we made. Basically, we're going to take a regular cupcake. I'm using a tip, either a 2D or a 1M, a nice big, large icing tip. And I'm just going to make a little swirl of icing. Let's see, we're going to throw a little bit of sprinkles on that. Just some holiday sprinkles. If you want, you can put a little bit of edible white glitter to make it sort of glittery like this one. And then choose whatever chocolate you'd like to use on there and just set it right on the cupcake. And you're done. It's a super, super easy way to make some really, really delightful cupcakes for the holiday season without a lot of work and a lot of decorating, skill necessary. Basically, you could even use a spatula and ice the top of the cupcake, put some sprinkles on, and add the little bit of chocolate, and they'll be a hit at any party. I hope you've enjoyed this first section on making chocolate candies at home. Again, if this interests you and you think you'd like to do or learn more about this, I do have the DVD out called Simply Chocolate by Tetreault. And all these products are available at globalsugarart.com. Thanks for watching.